This goes beyond just a murder. Beyond everything I believe.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? We are back for another episode review. This is our after show for Under the Banner of Heaven. They actually used that verbiage, Under the Banner of Heaven, in this episode.
So maybe, just maybe, I'll now remember the episode because I'll remember that line of what I know now what that means.
Under the Tuscan Sky?
Yeah, because if I called it Under the Sun. It was Tears of the Sun at one point. But with that line in this episode and the significance behind it, I think I may remember now that it's Under the Banner of Heaven. And it's being a great show.
Right. At this point now, we can say that this is a really good show. It's still mind-boggling to me that this is based on true story. But there were moments in this that. Did you look at The Shield back in the day, Lucas?
Yes, I did.
I used to love The Shield on FX, and certain things about The Shield like were really dramatified and just all over there. But then there was some moments that felt really real and kind of visceral. And this episode gave me vibes of that. Like it's just small little subtle things that would be happening, the way they was shot. And I'm like, man, they're just going for it. And I know this is off topic, but Andrew Garfield said he was going to take a break from acting from a little bit. And I didn't understand. But watching this joint, because it's weird, because, you know, with the movie, like, he puts us all into a movie and then goes to the next role. Puts all move to go to the next role. But this is a series, and he's giving a whole lot. He's putting so much energy into this. I say, you know what, Andrew, take your break, bro, because you've earned it at this point.
I think he did this back to back with Tammy Faye and Tick Tick Boom. Like all of this was done back to back to back to back. And I mean, besides playing Peter Parker again, everything was kind of like those roles had weight to it.
All of them.
And I think this was probably his breaking point. Like, you know what? I need a bit of a break because, as the best actors say, you know, certain characters can live with you, and we see how conflicted as this is going on and on. Of Jeb, which I'm still amazed that's his first name.
Pyre.
Like how conflicted he is with everything here. Like that quick, I know not to jump way ahead, but that scene where right after he meets with the main pastor, I'm assuming, of the church, and the way he doubles over in pain as he starts thinking about things, like that is a crushing scene.
It was bad. It was bad.
I know you compared it to The Shield. Amazingly, it reminded me of another FX show. Did you ever watch Justified?
I did.
That's what this is really reminding me of those high points of Justified.
Yeah, I heard they were doing a new season, or
they're bringing it back for a new season.
Yeah, so that's another one we may try to cover.
Which you can catch the review on JVS.
Hey, he said it. He advertised it. I ain't said nothing. But no, I think you're right. Seeing the disintegration of Pyre's, it's not even just his faith. Everything about him is just getting torn down, man.
Yeah.
And he's really trying to do his job, because before I was kind of like, all right, you know, he's playing the fence here. At this point, he's made up in his mind, you know, I'm still a man of faith, but I know the direction that this should go. And I know right from wrong. But how things are going now, the foundations of his whole psyche, like even his life, is rippling apart, because he tried to keep a lot of this from his wife. She first heard it on the radio, and he kind of tried to turn it off. Then she, you know, heard him talking to somebody, and she's like, "Is everything okay?" She was starting to hear certain things. Even the mom was starting to hear things. She saw him on the news, and then when he had to make that huge judgment call.
That everybody, even you can tell the people around him thought he's not going to go there and say that.
Right.
Like, they tried their best to protect him from having to say it. But the moment he said, we're not ruling out fundamentalism,
Mormonists. Yeah.
And the look on his wife's face was because at that point she understood, like, you're going to question everything based off of this.
Yeah.
And she's thinking about how the community is going to view that this is what you're saying happened, and you're blaming people in your religion. Again, it's not like being a Christian. It's not like being a Buddhist, a Muslim, anything of this nature.
Mm-hmm.
The Mormon religion is way more close and intact.
They're a collective.
It's almost completely just in one state. At least that's what we would like to believe on the outside. Like, it's just in Utah that Mormons live. Granted, they're everywhere, but because it's so tight-knit of a community, especially this episode at this point in time, how tight they were, that for him to do anything like that, like, everyone believes at that point that you're not faithful anymore.
Yeah, it's a hard beat, man. I don't know a way to kind of put it, because he tried everything he's done up until this point is to try to not come to that conclusion. Mm-hmm. He's tried. He's trolled himself. He's like, no, he started to try to keep to it, and he did his best to avoid it. But when the guy asked him outright, he wasn't gonna lie. You know what I'm saying? Because that's also a part of his faith. He's not gonna sit there and openly lie. But it was like there was no clear way of spinning it, because he could have said it could have been a religious fanatic, and what the person would have doubled down on, well, do you think it was this denomination? Do you think it was this religion? And it no matter what, I think what they should have done, they should have canceled the press conference and avoided him from it. Technically, in my personal opinion, I think he's too close to this case. They should really pull him from the case, because the way that this is going, it's not just bad press. It's gonna. But I don't know. He's too close to this to me. If I was the captain, I would have pulled him from the press conference. I wouldn't have had him a part of it. Personally.
I think the reason they couldn't pull him from the press conference, and the reason they can't pull him off the case, in all honesty, he's in a community where most people are going to be Mormon. At that point, I can't pull you away from everything. You have to make the decision to do your job. And it's clear that he is the lead detective here.
Yeah, he is.
So when he's at that press conference, I think they're thinking like, okay, hopefully no question gets asked that he got to answer straight up. But here's the problem, though. He should answer it straight up. He gave the answer that he should give it. The issue just was like the repercussions behind him doing that,
bad, bro.
And how he views himself. But also, as we get into the episode, I think there are other points of the episode that made it where he had to say this.
Yeah.
Because you clearly see through the episode from communication with the brothers, and then communications with the bank guy, and then the communications with the leader of the church, and then the way the church is truly attempting to stop his investigation. I think he was just like, you know what? Because you could tell that he was conflicted in saying anything. And then you felt something come over him, and he was just like, no, I'm going to tell the truth.
Right.
And the moment he does is when everything just looks crazy.
It crumbled, bro. It straight up crumbled. Because and we were right last week, it was the bishop. It was the bishop that he talked to about, the blood covenant and all this and that. But when the lead guy came and sitting there shaking hands with everybody in the gosh darn unit, and all of a sudden was like, yeah, I need to take them off your hands. I was like, hold up, wait, what? Take them into your custody? What are we talking about? Are you a lawyer? What are the ramifications behind doing this? And he was like, well, no, like this. And he tried. He was so nice. He was trying to be so nice. And that guy, man, it left such a bad taste in my mouth, man. I felt so bad for him. But even deeper than that, like, what are y'all doing? How deep is this? For real, because I started questioning. I was like, who's covering up here? Because it ain't just the Laffertys. It just ain't the Lafferty point, because I think what they've been doing really interesting is kind of like what Arrow used to do back in the day with those flashbacks, and how the flashbacks have symbolism to the present day events. But when they showed Joseph and they started going through the polygamy aspect of stuff,
oh my goodness,
and Alan was talking about, how that laid a certain foundations with the brothers, and we'll get to the whole Ron thing, because I did not expect that coming. But when they showed Joseph and talking to his wife, and said, like, the wife straight up was like, look, nah, I've done this, I can't get behind this. And he was like, well, you know what? You about to be destroyed. She said, what? Hold up. I'm about to be destroyed. You serious? Because before that, she was kind of like, well, you gonna sit there and marry other wives? Marry other husbands. Okay, cool. Like, nah, homie, you ain't doing that.
Yeah, exactly. Just say tit for tat.
And then when the direct parallel, when Dan was in the car with his wife having that whole conversation, I was like, bro, I didn't know what was about to go down with that whole situation, because she won't have none of that. She was like, nah, bro. I don't know what you're talking about.
It plays to what we've talked about multiple times, that it's different sects of Mormonism.
Right.
They're not all the same. Some of them are strict. Some of them are equivalent to Orthodox Jews. Whatever the word said, it is not for us to interpret.
Right.
We are to follow exactly what it said. And here, when we get how the doctrine was created and what it actually said, like it's no questioning it. And even when Dan went and visited the other Mormons that lived a completely different than they are, and how they basically saying, who are you to question a prophet? Like, who are you to question that this is not the thing to do? Like it that came across as a very scary scene, but like with little to no action necessary.
Right.
It was just like you saw that Dan was going down a path that could lead to a lot of harm happening to him.
Right. Like, it was I don't know, man. The way that they filmed it, the way that it was done, but even crazier than that, and I guess because we've seen it from its inception to where it is now, like the father honestly created a monster of his own making.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I wonder if he intentionally did it that way, because the way that it's panning out, he put Dan in a certain situation. He oppressed Dan. He abused Dan. He bullied him to believe in this certain kind of way about himself, because he knew he would naturally go and down this route. Even when Dan started kind of falling back a little bit, he was like, oh, let me put a little bit on the gas a little bit and try to reel him back in. Reeled him back in. He started thinking like, oh, okay, well, let me do it this way instead. Down to the point that Dan is so specific now that he converted Ron. Like it's weird, because I've seen on all of the kids, all the brothers, how so much of this has really messed up and warped them that they can't fight anymore. They can't really fight what is ingrained in them enough to even come up with a comparable understanding of what they should do. Because Ryan was kind of like, no. But it was like he was getting worn down, because his dad wore him down for so long, because he put him in a place of not having power. And then when he had it, he had the support of his brothers. All they had to do is put a little influence, and they can switch and change him up, because he never was allowed to be an actual leader, even though he should have been. It's so sick, bro.
It's because we see here that Dan is a master manipulator.
He is.
And I think that's what hurt Pyre the most. When he started putting it together, when he asked him, well, when was this written? When was this given to Ron? And when he gets the time frame and he puts it together, like, wait a minute.
Right.
All this is manipulation. Because they needed to turn Ron, because Ron is the poster boy. He's the poster boy of Mormonism at this point in time. So how the best thing you could do is change the poster boy to make him believe in what you believe in. So I'm not necessarily sure if the dad knew he was doing that to Dan. I just think their dad doesn't like him. I think he thinks Dan is weak. And instead of it
Dan or
being
Ron?
no, I think he thinks Dan is weak.
Really?
Because if you think about it, like I think at one point they said like the dad thought that Ron would be the natural leader, not Dan.
But it's weird though because he put Dan in the position to be the leader to spite Ron.
Yep, that's it.
In the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, yeah, he did that because he knew that. I guess you're right. He knew that Dan was weak, but
he thought he could control Dan.
Yeah.
Because I can't put the strong son into place. Because if the strong son gets in place, he's going to supersede me. But as long as I put the weak one there, I can control him. And think about everything he's done to Dan is a form of control.
That's true.
He beats him when he wants to. He hits him when he wants to. He does all this stuff. You see, the one person who stood up to him was Ron.
That's true.
Everyone else cowered. And they were like, I don't want any parts of this is going on here. Right. So it made sense for him to make Dan the leader over Ron because he wants Ron to remain in a certain position. But Dan understands, no, I need Ron to be the leader because then I can manipulate him to do anything I want him to do, including using his wife as part of the manipulation.
That just wild, bro. Like Ron's getting manipulated on so many different fronts that it makes me question. I hate to say it like this. It makes me question certain other characters because I don't know. I'm not questioning Pyre's wife. I'm not saying that. But I know how deep some of this stuff is. And it wouldn't put it past me if she knew certain things that were going on more than Pyre did. Because they're so close. Like, she's with the community more than Pyre really is.
Yeah.
Like, she knows, like, once we get disconnected, oh, shoot, your mama walking off down the street. We ain't going to have that bus driver to go and save us anymore. Like, you messed it up. You messed up the money. You messed up the empire, so to speak.
Exactly.
And it's just fascinating, man. But I think you're right. Like, now, I guess what it was this. Dan got oppressed so long and put under control for so long under his dad, it just became a part of his DNA that he's a byproduct of it. So he knows how to do it openly because he doesn't look at it as control. He looked like that's just how it is. That's what you're supposed to do. So he in turn does that outwardly to everybody else. I'm curious if the dad is still alive. That's what I'm really curious about. I can't wait to figure out what happened to the dad.
Not only that, we've not seen age Ron yet, have we?
We haven't seen age Ron or Dan yet.
Yeah.
I'm almost willing to believe, to be honest, it's gonna be Dan and Ron with these darn beards out there doing stuff.
Hey, well, we already know one of them was the youngest brother, played by Macaulay Culkin's brother. I can't remember his name at this time, as the brother was his name.
Robert? Samuel.
Yeah. Yeah. Like we understand Samuel clearly has done something bad here. And to the extent that the other brother he knew nothing about it. So he's completely thrown off.
Right.
When he found out his niece and nephew, his niece and his sister-in-law was dead.
Right.
So we kind of see the way this is happening with the brother. So you do wonder, did those two branch off completely? And did they branch back into the original principles of Mormonism, which we saw Dan visit and the scary path that can lead down to?
Right. Right. I can almost willing to bet that Dan and Ron revisited those people. I'm almost willing to bet. That dude was packing. Heat. And it's the same MO as what we've seen from these folks that are supposedly got these beards, that they got heavy artillery. They got guns. Yep. They about that life. And who was it? It was even somewhere in this one. I think the guy that he talked to, we had the right to defend. What was it? I can't remember the exact verbiage. When he asked him
what happens if the law comes, and he says, basically, you still follow the word, and we have a right to defend the word against anyone.
Right.
And that was about polygamism. because
That's crazy.
they believe in it, but it's illegal in the U.S.
That's crazy, bro. This is getting a lot more heavier than I
which they
anticipated.
feel is a form of oppression.
Right.
Which we're not going to get into the deep meaning of that, but if you think about it, why would it be illegal? It makes no sense for it not to be. So was that partially of the reason that it is illegal? It's for oppression. Like, it brings so many questions.
Dog. Look, all I know is I feel like Pyre. Like, Pyre out here just trying to be a faith-filled man, trying to raise his daughters and trying to protect folks in a small town. And everything about this case is showing him, I guess, the real side of the world, the real world that he really is actually living in. And I don't know how he's going to come back from it. Even if he finds out who did it and all this and that, at what cost, bro? Like, I really don't know what happens to Pyre after this, to be honest.
Well, it is, again, it is a sick story. So you kind of wondered, like, what path is this going to go down with the brothers and everything that's going to happen? I mean, if anyone knows the story, you kind of know where this is going. Mm-hmm. I do like the point that we don't know much of the story, so we get to be surprised about the things that are happening. But I think even if you knew the story, it's just so well executed.
Yeah,
that you would still think this is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, my one regret is if I would have asked a little bit earlier, I wish I could have interviewed some of the cast for this, because I would have asked some deep-seated questions on, like, man, how much did you immerse yourself into this? How much research did you do? How much of the history do you know? How did you deal with coming out of it after? Like, I would have went on some questions, bro, because this is really deep, and it's really dark, and it's not like there's a lot of violence or death. Like, it's the subject matter.
Yep.
It's the essence behind what somebody perceives is right versus what they truly believe. And bro, like,
they do a great job of putting horror elements in a drama.
Yeah, that's a good.
And this what makes it. It brings you back to the older dramatic thrillers that used to come out all the time, where it doesn't require big action pieces. It just requires moments that are thrilling, and this one is packed full of them. Again, just the interrogation back and forth when Pyre is figuring out everything. That's an intense, thrilling scene.
Right.
Or just at the beginning, the way the episode opens of them going through the Lafferty's house and seeing everything. Another thrilling scene, and they use great angles to pull you into the darkness of the rooms as they're going through it. That's what you want in this type of story.
Yeah, it's not as though they're trying to pull the wool under your eyes. Like, you really legitimately feel like anything could pop off. Down to the very last scene, I was kind of like, come on, y'all. Don't let this rookie cop go out here and get killed.
Exactly.
And he's sitting out there in the woods, gosh, their radio don't work. I was like, at the moment your radio ain't working, go back to your car and let people know your radio isn't working. He proceeds out to the gosh darn woods, sees a homeboy with a freaking machete, just sitting there, almost about to scalp this little rabbit or squirrel or whatever the heck it was. And he was like, "Sir," and he just kind of looking at him. He's like, "Can you put the knife?" He puts his knife down. He just starts walking. He's walking behind somebody into the woods. I was like, "Have you not seen a horror movie?" But I like you said, I love that tension, because you don't know. Realistically, it could have been one of the dudes. It could have been one of those long-haired, bearded dudes, and they were just leading them to where everybody was, because he was starting to pray. He was like, "Yo, I don't know where that dude went, but I'm gonna start praying." And I was like, "Oh, he might try to indoctrinate you. He might add you into the frame." And then, who the heck is in the water? Who are they talking to? Who the heck is that?
I thought, wasn't that the main leader of the church?
I have absolutely no idea. Because I was so confused. I was like, who is this little boy supposed to be going out there for? And I think you might be right. But the weird thing is, why is that young cop out there? What is the purpose for this? I don't know what's going on.
I think because they played that right after Pyre said what he said. So I'm wondering, is it a play on that? Like, hey, he just said this. We have a problem.
So you're thinking that the young cop is snitching?
Yes.
About what just went down and ramifications behind it.
And somebody sent him to do that.
Bruh. All I know is Pyre. The only person that Pyre can really trust at this point is his partner Bill, man. Because I mean, maybe his mama, but I don't even know, man. Like, I don't know how deep seated all this stuff is. Yeah, nah. Because I still don't trust Alan. I don't trust the youngest brother either because he's so his mind is shattered. And I don't know if it's shattered because his wife and his child are dead, or if it's because of something he's done, or if it's just, the ramifications of being with his family for so long. Like, I look at him and I see a man that's hurt and in pain, but then there's times where he's just so disconnected. And I see that in every single one of the brothers that in present day, like there's some part of them is just disconnected from what the reality of the situation is. I think Robert comes the closest, but at the same time, Robert says something. He said something weird to Pyre. He was like, I can't remember. He doesn't even call him brother anymore. He was like, you know what? This is what it is.
Yeah. So to speak.
Yeah, dude. I don't know, man. That whole town, bro. He need to get them out of there, bro. He need to get his family.
Well, remember though, we got to look at it a different way at times because this is their home. This is their religion,
bro.
I mean, in the end, when you're at your scariest moments, what do you hold on to? You hold on to your faith. It's just that right now it seems shaky, but I don't think he's shaky in his faith because he's lacking belief.
No,
I think he's lacking understanding in leaders of his church.
Yeah,
and that hurts him more than anything else. Because when you find out that possibly a leader in your church is the one who's interfering in your investigation on this horrendous murder,
right?
Like that's what's hurting him more than anything.
Yeah, it's kind of like the epitome of, like a church leader that did something terrible.
Yeah.
It not only hurts you because you put your trust in them, but it also it lays a bad mark on what people perceive of your religion in and of itself. Like, oh, well, you can't trust them, kind of thing.
And in being Black and certain religious beliefs, it happens often.
Yeah.
Where one bad pastor makes every single one of them look bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
But and now just imagine if it was a tighter knit community, like that could cause havoc.
Yeah. And I come from a small town. I can only imagine like a really close, person that is highly regarded and something happens and everybody knows about it. Like there's going to be different folks that are going to be like, oh no, we got to keep this on the wraps because this will break everybody. And then there's some people be like, I can't believe this happened. I can't deal with this kind of thing. And how that's going to be a clash is going to happen. But ultimately, the preservation of the town is going to supersede everything else.
Exactly.
So I don't know, man. Pyre's he's fighting a losing battle, no matter what. But I guess the battle really is honestly for the foundation of his faith and how he wants to continue it. Does he want to continue it down the way that he's been continuing? I almost have money that Pyre is going to kind of disconnect, bro.
Either that or he's just discovering more about your religion. I think that sometimes learning more about your faith can pull you closer in, even when you know the bad stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that's the conflict here with him. Is while he wants to know more, he's already been warned. Knowing more may not be the best thing in the world for you.
Yeah.
But he feels it's necessary right now.
It's well, he has to, because the more he understands, the more he gets it's like, what's a good example? You are trying to track down a serial killer that has a specific track mind and have a specific MO, and you start digging down case files, you start digging down other possible leads, you start digging down other people that have created like heinous acts of these similar to this serial killer, and you start going down that rabbit hole, but eventually it starts pulling you inward to that. And I think that that's kind of the same thing is happening. Like he needs this information to understand what's really happening, so he can be the best detective that he can be.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it's at the expense of his own beliefs. Like literally, I don't know any way to kind of put it. And I don't think I've ever seen a show like that, honestly.
Again,
I've ever seen a show,
especially
like that.
some of this nature based off of a true story, and we see the family's manipulation happening right in front of our eyes in this episode here.
Bruh.
But not only that, we see Pyre breaking because he's understanding it's not just the brothers that are crooked.
Right.
It may be everyone in his religion. All the leaders at the church may be crooked. And you being a man of the law, I think it's a great parallel from what Pyre is going to against what Dan asked the other Mormons, which is, what happens if the law comes here? What do you do? And they gave a blunt answer. Well, Pyro's the opposite. He is the law. Mm-hmm. So what happens when they break a law? What do you do? And that's where he's stuck at.
Yeah, he really is stuck. It was one other thing I was going to talk about, and I can't remember it. It was something that happened. Man, there's so much that happened in this freaking episode, bro. Oh my gosh. I think it had to do when I can't think of it. It's too much. It's too much.
It wasn't the manipulation of the wives, was it?
It was. That's exactly what it was. Because how did that pan out? I was going to ask your perspective because I think I felt like I lost some of it. So Ron's wife was was manipulated or coerced by Dan, presumably, to manipulate Ron.
Yes.
But Brenda wrote it to help Ron's wife, but really it was actually to
help convert
and control Ron, because it put him in a compromising situation.
And then you see the reaction he had to his wife in the car when he found out.
Man, he smacked the mess out of her. Yeah.
But you hear the bank teller say, "Oh, he wasn't that upset about it."
Yeah, he lied
because other people witnessed it.
Right.
But we have to cover this up because of who Ron is.
Right.
So the moment we cover it up, we got a little dirt on you. That's all we need.
It's just crazy, dude, because people out here lying and manipulating, and
it shows that even in church, that's supposed to be as honest as the one that they are in, people lie. Yeah, or a greater lesson. And it's something that everyone in any religious denomination knows. Never put your faith in man.
Right.
Because man can only disappoint you. And I think that's what Pyre is going through the most.
Yeah.
His faith has been in the men and the people of his religion, of him thinking like, you know what, you're going to have the same principles as me. We're going to be able, like, he got broken from the moment he realized they had beards, and he said that's not allowed in our religion.
Right. Right. Like, that threw him all the way off day one. Yeah, no, I think that you're right. If I took the concept of the way that Dan is doing things, the way he's done things, the way that seems right to a man can lead to his destruction. There's a way that seems right to a man in the end that can lead to his own destruction. That is literally happening right now. And it's not just Dan, it's actually all of them.
Yeah.
This joint is crazy because I feel for Brenda too, because Brenda's like, she said a few episodes back, she's like, look, I'm under this control, but you know, I'm not gonna just let this stand. I'm gonna protect my future children. Man, she has no idea. She's being used.
Yeah.
She's been used as ammunition, as arrows, and man, dude,
For someone that they already had bad feelings about.
Right. It's craziness, man. But yeah, I don't know, man. This show kind of gave me on it. This episode specifically left me in a downward state, like emotionally. So
you got 2 more episodes left. So I mean, you're about to kick up a notch in the storytelling. Because now we got to really get down to the grit of who killed her, why did she die, and were they punished for it, or will they be punished for it?
I'm gonna say this, and I got money on it, but I don't know if it's true or not. The way that Dan so easily manipulated Ron, I wouldn't be surprised if Dan manipulated Alan to believing that he didn't have a choice, that he had to kill his own wife and child. And I say that only because it still does not add up why Alan had blood all over him.
Yeah.
Like nothing has shown me why or the how. And I think that Dan/Ron probably coerced and manipulated him to do it. He didn't feel like he had a choice, because it was something when he was reading, when he saw the polygamy book, and he looked at it, he was like, and then Pyre asked him, well, if they believe this, what's not to believe they'll take up the blood covenant?
Yep.
And he looked down. That's when he started like conversing, and he was like, he was staggered. So my money actually is on Alan. I know that sounds like the simple answer, but I think it's deeper than that. The longer this story is going, you can see how these brothers and the way their dad treated them made them master manipulators and putting themselves in the worst possible situation they could be in their lives. So I wouldn't be surprised. But it would be sad, bro.
Yeah.
It would be really sad. Because I don't even know, like, I'm pretty sure there's gonna be a scene where they show exactly what happened.
Oh,
and
definitely.
I don't know if I want to see it, to be honest. Like, I really don't want to see it. I really don't want to see it. And it's crazy because technically that's the only act of violence
that you would see in this episode. Because we've not really seen any at all. All.
But the way that this show has played it, I don't want to see it. I don't even want to. The show is so dark tonally and so serious.
It's the
and
intensity
immersive emotionally.
The intensity that they hit you with.
I don't even want to see the murder that already happened. Like, for real, I don't want to see
the ones that you already know about. You're like, nah, I'm good. I don't need to see those.
I don't want to see it, dog. I don't want to see it. But yeah, you got any closing thoughts?
Hey, just stay tuned. I mean, it's going to get crazy. Again, after everything that Pyre discovers, after his comments by the end of this episode, you just know that we're in for a big fight coming up. Spiritual warfare, if you could call it no other word.
Literally. And they may take the fight to his doorstep. They know every weakness that he's got down to his freaking his mother.
Yeah.
And when that dude brought up his mother and started manipulating it, I was like, nah, bro, the glove's coming off after that.
Yeah.
But hope you guys enjoyed this review. We will be back pretty soon with The Man That Fell to Earth. Lucas will be doing his review on The Baby later on Sunday.
Yes.
As well as tonight, I'm going to be doing my review on Halo. So we got a lot of stuff coming your way. And also, Ant Gold is going to be doing Star Trek Strange New World. So stay tuned. Keep it locked. We'll be back, people. Peace.
Falling out the top of I can see the skyline, 50 mile radius on my timeline. Ain't